It is Saturday, December 14th, 2019. This is the Noles Podcast. This podcast is made by a fan, for fans. I am not a reporter. I am not a journalist. I am not an insider. I do not work for a website. Everything expressed on this podcast is in my opinion. Today's show is going to be about recruiting. Going to touch on Trey Harrison a little bit, and just looking at Willie Taggart one last time, and my projected starters for next year, and the Heisman breakdown. It's not really a breakdown. We know who's going to win it. I was just going to give my thoughts on the Heisman overall. First, let's start with Trey Harrison. Decent route runner, decent speed, great agility, fair catching ability. He put himself in the transfer portal. If he leaves, I don't think it's a major loss. He may blossom somewhere else. I think now that Ron Dugans has been officially retained, it would probably be in his best interest to stay. I just think, with Dugans staying, that's just more continuity for this team going into next year. If he transfers to another team, he's going to have to start over. Trey Harrison has some big drops this year, man. I know he can play. I know he can catch, but, who is he frustrated with? His stock and his situation can only improve, in my opinion. Mike Norvell needs to hit it big this weekend on the recruiting trail. He put in the work all week. It's going to be tough to convince a kid in 1 week that FSU is the place for them. But respect to Mike Norvell, because he got a lot of recruits on campus this weekend. If he somehow accomplishes the impossible, you got to say the program's in good hands. I agree with that. But Willie Taggart did this his first year. He got a whole bunch of big names on campus, and he didn't really sign any of those guys. So we'll just wait till Sunday or whenever they have to sign to see how he did his first week. But I will give him props that he had his, the majority of his staff in place. Unlike Willie Taggart, it took him a month to find an offensive coordinator. One final look at Willie Taggart. Overall, he sucked. And I'm beginning to think he's delusional. He looked overwhelmed on the sidelines. If Browse wasn't the offensive coordinator, we probably wouldn't be 6-6 now. With that being said, I'm glad he landed at Florida Atlantic. However, the roster that Willie Taggart inherited versus the roster Mike Norvell is inheriting, you would have to say that Willie Taggart had the better roster when they took over this job. I was reading some of the stuff he said in his press conference at the Florida Atlantic job. He said that he had the program heading in the right direction. They just didn't give him enough time. This guy's delusional, man. So I guess Hornibrook was taking us in the right direction during the Miami game. Okay, Willie. You're delusional, man. I just hope you don't go down there and run Florida Atlantic into the ground, because they did win the conference championship and they did win 10 games. They went 10-3. So, Lane Kiffin is not exactly leaving you with a rebuild. Willie, you should have never left Oregon. That was a bad career move for you. Florida State doesn't have Phil Knight money, Nike money. And, he loves Oregon. He's practically is Oregon. Hell, he is Oregon. Said it once, I'll say it again. Bad career move, Willie. Turning back to FSU. What this team will look like, assuming that Terry, Akers, and Wilson are gone, is going to be rough. My projected lineup, if no one else leaves, are as follows. Quarterback, James Blackman, Jordan Travis, Wyatt Rector. Running back, Kalen LeBourne, Anthony Grant, Dante Sheffield. That's assuming that Anthony Grant is coming back. Wide receivers, DJ Matthews, Warren Thompson, Keyshawn Helton, Ontario Wilson. Tight end, I forget the other tight end's name, number 87. And then you got Trey McKitty. Offensive tackles, Ira Henry, Darius Washington, guard, Brady Scott, Dante Lucas, Christian Meadows, Christian Armstrong, center, Andrew Baselli, Maurice Smith. That's offense. Defense, Janoris Robinson, Joshua Kando, Durden, Thompson, Quayshawn Fuller, Malcolm Ray. That's assumed that they come out of the portal. Dennis Briggs, Robert Cooper, linebackers, McCray, Gaynor, Rice, Glenn, and McCluster. I think he's the best out of the bunch if he recommits to Florida State. Cornerbacks, Asante Samuel, Stanford Samuels, Anquan Bolden, Renardo Green, A.J. Litton. Safeties, Akeem Dent, Lars Woodby, Gant, Travis J., assuming he can get his academics together. I'm not sure if Carlos Becker is a senior. I don't know what his status is. I'll have to look that up and just correct myself on a future episode. Not a horrible projected starting lineup, but not elite either. This group needs to hit the weight room as soon as possible, ASAP, to compete physically. On offense, Grant and Thompson are question marks because they did leave the team, but hopefully they'll come back. Maybe the new recruits coming in can help out, but I doubt it. The main thing for Norvell to change is the mindset of these players from underachievers to winners, and it should translate to the field, maybe. Lars Woodby might not be 100% coming off the knee injury. Helton might not be 100% coming off his knee injury. Nasruddin, I left him out. He might not be on the team. He might go pro. He most definitely probably won't be playing next season because of his knee injury. Brandon Gant is an option at strong safety. I don't know if Travis J., again, will qualify academically. Hopefully all this trailblazing for Norvell this week, as far as the recruiting trail, will result in, a lot of commits. History says 1 week isn't enough time to put a big time class together. But I hope he can do it. I hope somehow, some way we can get Jeff Sims back into the fold and the defensive end Griffiths. They can only help this team. Every commit that we lost, Mike Norvell should be trying to get them back. The offensive coordinator, Dillingham, needs to flip those Auburn JUCO commits that he recruited. He needs to flip those guys to FSU. That will help us out big time. Also, you got 2 quarterback commits on campus this weekend. We need to nail both of those guys. We need to get them to commit to the program. Norvell needs to fill out the remaining positions on his staff. As I said, he's keeping Dugans. That's a great move to me. I applaud that. Heisman breakdown. And it's not really a breakdown. Everybody knows that Joe Burrow is pretty much a shoe-in for the award. He's had a phenomenal year. The award to me really has lost a lot of its luster. You know, when I was coming up, you didn't have social media. You didn't have, podcasts and all that stuff. And it was like a mystery, the Heisman was. Like, who was going to be the winner? And that's why I used to tune in and watch when I was a kid. But now, you know pretty much who's going to win it. Basically a month in advance. I know Justin Fields and Chase Young. I forget the other finalists because I ain't really kept up with it, because since they said that Joe Burrow's basically the shoe-in. And I wish people would stop saying who they voted for. Like, that just takes away from the appeal of the award. It's still, the Heisman still carries weight as far as the name. Anytime a guy wins it for the rest of his life, he's going to be called the Heisman Trophy winner. You can even see that with a certain former USC running back that is internationally known for, things he's did. And it still has a lot of appeal to it, but just not like in, 20, 25 years ago, in my opinion. Joe Burrow had a great season. The 2 guys from Ohio State had a great season. I'm forgetting who that 4th guy is. I can't even think right now. But like I said, we already know who's gonna win it. Rating Mike Norvell thus far, I would have to give him a B+. I think and the only reason why he's not getting an A+ is because of the Jeff Sims move. Again, I'm not some kind of big time Jeff Sims fan, but I'm just saying. Like I said, he is bringing in other quarterback recruits. He's even got a quarterback coming in that's rated higher than Jeff Sims. So if he gets those guys, then I'll move him up to an A+. But as of right now, with no commits as far as, people signing paperwork and actually are going to be with the program, I have to give him a B+. I think he's made all the right moves as far as his coaching staff. And hopefully he'll keep Telly Lockett. I think having that South Florida connection is big time. He's doing a good job thus far, in my opinion. Hopefully some of these offensive line recruits can come in, man, because Christian Meadows and Christian Armstrong have been on campus. It'll be, 3 years next season, and they can't get on the field. Same thing with Chaz Neal and Jalen Goss. It would have been 3 years for them. So at some point, you got to put those 4 guys on the field and see what they can do. You just can't let guys hold up scholarships and they don't play. They got to play at some point. You got to see what you got. And, that's just how I feel. If I'm going to give a scholarship to a guy, I got to see if he can play at some point. So, once again, the podcast is doing really well. I appreciate all the support from all the people that have subscribed. It's available on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and Google podcasts, respectively. Thank you for your continued support, and go Noles.